In Christian belief, a saint is a person who is recognized as having an exceptional degree of holiness, likeness, or closeness to God. In most Christian doctrines, all of their faithful deities in heaven are considered to be saints, but a selected few are considered worthy of greater honor or emulation. And when people think of a saint, that's exactly what they imagine: the selected few, a person who is special in some way due to his deeds and it's worthy of emulation, like an important ruler such as Saint Vladimir, who Christianized the Rus, also known as today's Russians, also Saint Boris, who Christianized the Bulgarians, or a person like Saint Moses the Ethiopian, who lived a life of sin but transformed himself so profoundly that he became an example of holiness. Saint Gabriel also comes to mind as an example of a person who, even through persecution and torture in the Soviet Union, preached the word of Christ and even burnt a portrait of Lenin, despite the horrific consequences he faced for it. Some saints were also famous for being wonder workers, like Saint Spiridon, who performed many miracles in his lifetime and defended the doctrine of the Holy Trinity by holding a brick that miraculously emitted fire, water, and clay simultaneously, symbolizing the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. But there is one man that lacks any of these characteristics mentioned above. He wasn't a great ruler, or a person who went through a miraculous spiritual journey, and he also lacks any miraculous deeds, yet he is perhaps the most important saint to ever live. The man I'm talking about is known as Saint Christopher. But before we answer why is that the case, we first have to get familiar with his life story. So, Saint Christopher is venerated by several Christian denominations. According to these traditions, he was a martyr killed in the reign of the 3rd century Roman Emperor Decius, or alternatively, under the Emperor Maximus Daia. Churches and monasteries were named after him by the 7th century. There is no evidence for the historicity of the saint. So, yes, unfortunately, we only have legends of him. Legends about the life and death of Saint Christopher first appeared in Greece in the 6th century and had spread to France by the 9th century, but the most popular variation of his legend originated from the 13th century book Golden Legends. According to the legendary account of his life, Christopher was initially called Reprobus. He was a Canaanite, 7 feet and a half tall, or 2 meters and 30 centimeters for my non-American audience. And yet he was so humble, he didn't even record himself hate-mocking people like many people do these days. Such an amazing feat of humility. And he also had a fearsome face. Interestingly, because of that, he is often depicted with the head of a dog. Since people in the past believed in the existence of a Cynocephalus, who were dog-headed men who ate human flesh and barked, scholars have suggested that the Byzantine depiction of Saint Christopher as a dog-headed may have resulted from his identification as a member of the tribe of Mermatai, who were a land of cannibals and dog-headed people. The Greek tradition interpreted this literally, which led to the Byzantine icons often depicting Saint Christopher with a dog head. And because of that, another legend was born, that eventually Christopher met the Christ child, regretted his former behavior, and received baptism. He too was rewarded with a human appearance, whereupon he devoted his life to Christian service and became an athlete of God, one of the soldier saints. Now, back to the other legend. While serving the king of Canaan, he took it into his head to go and serve the greatest king there was. He went to the king who was reputed to be the greatest. But one day he saw the king cross himself at the mention of the devil. On this warning that the king feared the devil, he departed to look for the devil. He came across a band of marauders, one of whom declared himself to be the devil, so Christopher decided to serve him. But then he saw his new master avoid the wayside cross and found out that the devil feared Christ. He left him and inquired from people where to find Christ. He met a hermit who instructed him in the Christian faith. Christopher asked him how he could serve Christ. When the hermit suggested fasting and prayer, Christopher replied that he was unable to perform that service. The hermit then suggested that because of his size and strength, Christopher could serve Christ by assisting people to cross a dangerous river, where they were perishing in the attempt. The hermit promised that this service would be pleasing to Christ. After Christopher had performed this service for some time, a little child asked him to take him across the river. During the crossing, the river became swollen and the child seemed as heavy as lead. So much that Christopher could scarcely carry him and found himself in great difficulty. When he finally reached the other side, he said to the child, "You have put me in great danger. I don't think the whole world could have been as heavy on my shoulders as you were." The child replied, "You had on your shoulder not only the whole world, but him who made it. I am Christ, your king, whom you're serving by this work." The child then vanished. And this story is where the name Christopher comes from, meaning bearing Christ, as he literally bared Christ. So Christopher later visited Lycia, and there comforted the Christians who were being martyred. Brought before the local king, he refused to sacrifice to the pagan gods. The king tried to win him by riches and by sending 2 beautiful women to tempt him. Christopher converted the women to Christianity, pretty based, as he had already converted thousands in the city. The king ordered him to be killed. Various attempts failed, but finally Christopher was beheaded. And unlike other saints, Saint Christopher did not produce any miracles, wisdoms, or an astonishing change in behavior. But with his simplicity, he managed to achieve something perhaps even greater than that. He showed a path that many people could follow, one of the ordinary men, with the most important message of them all, that being always seek the truth. Just like any other ordinary man, he was looking for the truth and found it when he was wondering how he can be refused to God, and realized that he can't fast and pray like the monk. And again, in search of the truth, he found out it's best to use his gift of great strength and height to help people cross the river and save many human lives, just like ordinary people use their gifts to help each other out. Each single one of us have unique talents that we can use for the good of society. So let us be like Christopher and look for the best ways to use them. And even if you're an atheist, I think this message can resonate well with you as well. So yeah, that's for today. I hope you liked the video. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you learned something new. If you liked, please leave a like, please leave a subscribe. And if you liked the video, you can check out my 2 previous videos. I think they are also pretty interesting. And that's it. I will see you around next time if I'm still alive. Bye for now.